Në një stat këtë tri, përpjekja më e madhe duhet të jetë në ngritjen e rriturisë. Dhe këtë obligim e kanë spari mësimdhënësit, që pastaj padyshim se edhe nxënësit e ju të rinj duhet të jenë ata që ta merrni dijen, ta fitoni dijen në nivelin më të lartë të mundshëm. Unë i them kështu një porosit të përgjithshëm për gjithë mësimdhënësit, nuk duhet ta konsiderojnë veten të punësuar. Mësimdhënësit janë përtejt punësuar. E kanë një profesion të shenjtë. Një profesion i cili ka për obligim që t'i edukojë të rinjët tanë. Të rinjët tanë janë gjithë barabartë në edukim, por ajo varet se sa ne do të bëjmë përpjekje që t'i ofrojmë mësimdhënien të rinjëve tanë. Dhe jam i sigurt që jemi në një fazë shumë të mirë, që edhe niveli i përgjithshëm i joni për përgjegjësitë që po i marrin është duke u rritur, por interesi të rinjëve tanë është që të keni një edukim të nivelit evropian. Sot me ambasadorën së bashku do të keni ju mundësi të rinj të nderuar që të merrni shumë informacione lidhur me rëndësinë e edukimit në Bashkinë Evropiane. Padyshim, ambasadora do të na informojë për çastin se si e kanë vendet e Bashkisë Evropiane ndaj edukimit dhe ndaj arsimit, dhe ne mund të marrim shumë shembuj të mirë se si ne duhet t'ju çasim edhe edukimit, por edhe rrugës drejt Bashkisë Evropiane. Ne si vend nuk jemi vetëm fizikisht pjesë e Evropës, por konsideroj që ne jemi edhe emocionalisht, edhe në mënyrë sociale të drejtuar drejt Evropës. Edhe ky rrugtim do të jetë akoma më i lehtë kur ne do të kemi një përkraje direkt nga Bashkia Evropiane dhe të angazhohemi gjithë së bashku. Unë kërkoj nga ju që sot të jeni të hapur me pyetje dhe me informata që janë të rëndësishme për juve, por ajo që na mbetet në vazhdim, gjithë ne të angazhohemi së bashku, që vërtet të rinjët tanë të jenë të barabartë me Evropën. Ne falenderojmë edhe njëra Apostolovën për prezencën dhe mundësinë që po na jep të jemi bashkë në diskutimet për të arriturat tona të përgjithshme ndaj Evropës. Faleminderit shumë.
Thanks a lot. I propose that we sit, so if you a little bit more closer to the students, if you don't mind.
Propozoj ulje dhe mund jetë më afër me studentët.
Thanks a lot.
I'm here.
So I will speak in English, hoping that most of you understand me. If not, we have the interpreter, so maybe with the questions and answers you will be, we can help you. So first, good morning. Let me start by saying that it's a real pleasure to be in such a young environment. Usually, the EU is let's say, involved in all spheres of life in Kosovo, but my biggest pleasure is when I am meeting youth. So it's really one of these pleasant days for me. Today we are launching a series of classes where EU ambassadors are going to meet school children, students, and they are going actually to give their ideas how in their countries the EU perspective of the member state has been going. So this initiative is called the EU Teach a Day. So today we have chosen your school to be such one, and I have the pleasure to share my views, at least from my own perspective, how I see Kosovo accession to the EU. And also, I would like to underline how important is this week for us, because tomorrow is 9th of May, which is Europe Day. All European Union member states are celebrating this day, and a little bit later in my presentation, I will tell you why we have decided that 9th of May is the birthday of the EU. So, I want to start by saying that the most important thing when we speak about EU policies in enlargement countries, in the countries which are on their way to the EU, like Kosovo, is of course the fact that they have decided to share the common European values. One of the most important and founding value for the EU is culture. So, we are very much diversified, but that's why the European Union is very interesting. We are united in our diversity. So education is one of the most important parts of the European culture. And it is as well one of the strongest points. Why? Because education actually is dedicated to the youth, to the future generation, and through the education we prepare youth which is going to go further with the European idea. So in Kosovo, at least from this year on, we have made education as one, not as one, but our top priority. Of course, there are priorities which are rule of law, and they will always be there because they are horizontal. But education now we have decided with my office, with my, let's say, superiors in Brussels, that this is going to be the most important priority for Kosovo. Why? Because Kosovo is the youngest democracy. Because, according to the statistics, 70% of the population is below 30. So you are the future of Kosovo. So in order to make Kosovo meeting European standards, we have to rely on you, because you are going to do that. So how we are engaged in the educational reform of Kosovo? The minister already explained to you. We are starting already, let's say, the reform in the education. But what it means? Actually, we are investing in infrastructure, which means we are building new schools, we are building kindergartens, we are equipping them with the most modern technologies, which will give you the possibility to touch on the EU standards of expertise. We are as well teaching or training the teachers and the principals to get the expertise so they can deliver to you the best possible knowledge, which is also at the European Union standards. And last but not least, the students, which are, of course, the best one amongst you, are getting scholarships, and you can go and continue your, let's say, education through different programs like Erasmus, Erasmus Plus, and so on. So more or less, this is the system how we are engaging with education, not only here, but in any other country. More important, what we are doing here to do together with the minister is we are looking as well into an overall educational reform. We are looking into one ministry where the different directors and the different responsible experts are going really to be at the top EU standards. So we are looking into new laws which have to be for the higher education and for other educational reforms. So what I want to say is we would like to make a very big reform which, let's not be mistaken, it's not going to give results in 1 year, because a whole generation has to go through this new system in order to have the youth having the same expertise as the youngsters in Europe. But of course, this is so important because the youth is going to help the economic, socio-economic development of Kosovo. And let me start a little bit telling you about why economy is so important. Economy actually is the foundation of the European Union. And economy is a guarantee for peace in our countries for over 7 decades. Now, when the Second World War finished, maybe you know already from history, Europe's leaders decided never to allow such horrors to happen again as the horrors which happened during the war. So they were thinking for a way how to end these conflicts between each other. And very wisely, they decided to make, one way of that was to make their countries economically dependent on each other. So in this way, when they are economically dependent on each other, none of them is going to make anything against the country from which you are getting resources and from where you have the equilibrium in your development. This idea, how this ought to happen, was actually the idea of the then French minister Robert Schuman. And it was presented actually on the 9th of May 1950. And that's why 9th of May, from that moment on, is the birth of the European Union. Of course, then the European Union was not in the same way as it is today. It was just, let's say, common interests which were related more to the steel and to the coal. After that, the European Union developed. First, it had only 6 founding members. With different rounds of negotiations, the European Union now, today, is 28 member states. It is not easy to take decisions when you have 28 member states. Some of these member states may decide to leave, as we have, for example, the UK. But at the same time, we are having 6 partners from the Western Balkans who really want to become members of the EU. So we hope that very soon one will leave, but 6 are going to come and they're going to be our partners. Let me say as well that the European Union actually developed not only this first common interest for coal and steel, but it started to develop different institutions which helped to take common decisions. For example, it developed the Commission. The European Commission is something like a government of the whole European Union. We have commissioners who are taking decisions like your government. We have the High Representative who is dealing with external relations, Madam Mogherini, who is our foreign minister. Then we have the Council, the European Council, where sit all ministers of the EU member states and take very important decisions together with the European Assembly, with the European Parliament. The European Parliament composes of 751 directly elected from the population members. So, saying all this, I just want to show you a little bit how complicated is our system. And with the years and with development of all these institutions, the EU member states decided to join their efforts not only on the economic development, but they started to develop as well common policies. Nowadays, we are not speaking about steel and coal. We are speaking about common policy for education, common policy in external relations, on science, on research, on environment. So all these policies are obligatory for our EU member states. So what it means, the process of enlargement, what your country and the other countries who wish to become EU member states are doing during the accession process. All the laws which actually structure the existence of the European Union have to become part of your legislation. In other words, every standards and all obligations which EU member states have in their own countries, they have to become obligatory for Kosovo. This is going to be a long and very difficult process. From time to time it is not very popular because the government, the leadership have to make a lot of compromise as well. A lot of compromise is done with its own national interests. But this is done for the benefit of the Union, of the bigger group of member states who have the strongest common market and the strongest, if you want, foreign and security policy. So this is actually where Kosovo at the moment is walking through. As I said, it is not going to be an easy process, but at the same time, you are going to benefit incredibly. You are going to benefit first from the common market, which is huge potential. Second, speaking about the youth, you are going to have a visa-free regime, which means that you can travel everywhere where you want to visit cultural sites within 90 days in the European Union. You can go and you can make your studies in different capitals of the EU. You can, of course, as well be involved and find work in different places in the European Union, but this is happening only once you are a member state of the EU. So if I want just to give an advice, all the efforts which you have to make, and most probably it will be you, your generation, is worth. Because the European Union is the biggest donor for the third world. It is the biggest partner, the biggest trade partner, but as well humanitarian aid and everything what is essential as European values. So I will stop here and I'll be very happy to answer some of your questions. you can. Thank you very much. Po, ju tha që mundeni me pyet çka të që dëshironi, kështu që I'll give the floor to you so you can make questions. Mr. Dantere. So let's talk in English because I just want.
My name is gjimnazin. I'm a student at Sami High School. My question is simple, but which leads at a very actual big problem. We know that so soon we will go to university, and after that we'll finish university, and unfortunately our diplomas momentarily are not known anywhere in the world except Kosovo. So it's like we're finishing something, we're finishing our studies, but at the end of that we don't actually know what's going to happen with us. It's not that Kosovo leads us to a bright future or something, like momentarily, but because we don't know what's going to happen. So my question is that what is going to happen with us? Like, will you one day be knowing our diplomas as valuable, or will you keep going like this, that we will study, we'll finish university, and at the end of the day we will be here working as waitress or as a market supplier or something else, which is not a very bright future for a student that his grades are 10.0.
I will start answering, but I think that I will give the floor as well to your minister, because we as EU are advising Kosovo government what it needs to do, but at the end of the day they have to do it. Look, this what you are describing is of course a big worry for us, because at the moment Kosovo has very, very large number of students, very large number of students. This is on one side good, if first the education is really a quality education. Second, if the potential of the market in Kosovo is really ready to absorb all the specialists which are coming out of the schools. So what we are advising, and I hope that the government and the minister is listening also to that and share these ideas, we would like to see a very important link between the market at the moment in Kosovo. The business community has as well to be engaged in that, because they have to tell the ministry what kind of specialists will be needed in 5, 7 or 10 years when exactly you are finishing your grades. So you have to have specialization, which of course is going to be absorbed by the market. I can tell you that once you are a member state, the picture totally changes. Because once you have a diploma from a member state, and this is the beauty of the European Union educational system, your diploma is recognized in any other of the 28 member states. And then you are competing in the market of the EU. You are not competing only in the market of Bulgaria, Holland, or France. So this is the beauty and this is the benefit of the European Union market. But nevertheless, I must tell you that even in the European Union we are having this problem. And it's related to the economic crisis, to the financial crisis, which we are just starting to recover from. For example, in Spain, this is the biggest problem. There are a lot of student strikes in Spain, because 2/3 of the people who are graduating from the university cannot find work. So don't think that Kosovo is an isolated case. Of course, you are in a worse position at the moment because you do not have still access to the common market of labor, but at the same time, for the time being, you have at least the opportunity through different scholarships, which we are providing, but as well our member states on bilateral agreements, where you can even now, at that moment, go and in a way upgrade your knowledge in the European capitals, in big schools. Because one day, and I hope that this day is going to be at the moment when you still are going to be entering into the market, these diplomas are going to be very precious for you, because they are going to give you an opening and the possibility to work in places where this diploma is going to be recognized. So,
I want to add that we were known as some countries in the EU, but now we're out. We got kicked out because of the government. So this is a huge problem. The government is not helping. They're not letting us work. They're not letting us progress.
I think it's fair to give the floor to the minister as well. We are two here. Yes, of course.
Gjëja e parë që e duhet ta diskutojmë bashkë. Për parë jemi në fazën e fillimit të diskutimit të orientimit në karrierë dhe të armërinë e trive për një periudhë 5-10 vite, e cila nuk ka ekzistuar asnjëherë në Kosovë. Ajo që duhet keni kujdes gjithë ju të rinjë. Nuk duhet jeni jo optimist në talën e juaj, sepse optimizmi duhet që ndrojë gjithmonë. Edhe ne kur kemi qenë në moshën e juaj, kemi pas një perspektivë akoma më të rëndë, edhe kemi ecë përpara me shpresën se gjërat do të lëvizin mbarë, dhe ja kemi arritur. Edhe në gjë duhet ta keni ju. Megjithatë sot në Kosovë kemi një situatë të tillë. Kemi shumë profesione të cilat na mungojnë të rinjët tanë që mirën me këto profesione. Pra orientimi në karrierë nuk është i qëlluar. Ju jeni në fazën kur tani keni me bërë përzgjedhjen e asaj që ju duhet ta keni profesion për të ardhmen e juaj. Këtë duhet ta bëni një analizë të mirë. Jo vetëm të orientohemi sa për të regjistruar në një universitet. Orientimi juaj duhet të jetë në një profesion i cili do t'ja sigurojë një të ardhme të madhe. Sot i kemi shkencat teknike në mungesë të jashtëzakonshme në Kosovë. Kemi profesione të tjera, inxhinierë të ndryshëm të fushave të ndryshme që kemi mungesa të jashtëzakonshme në Kosovë. Sigur të rinjët tanë të orientohen në profesionet që na kemi mungesë të mëdha, nuk do të diskutohet çështja e punësimit. A dini çka na ndodh sot? Ne kemi një numër të jashtëzakonshëm të rinjëve tanë të papunësuar, ndërsa kur kërkojnë bizneset të ndryshme, por edhe institucionet caktuara, profesionet caktuara nuk gjejnë staf, nuk gjejnë persona për të punësuar. Pra shënit që kemi një disbalancë të orientimit të karrierës. Andaj guxoj që ne kemi obligim edhe si shtet, por edhe prindrit edhe ju të rinjët që ta kemi një orientim më të drejtë në karrierë. Tutje kemi edhe ne përgjithësi që edukimi në sistemin arsyeluar të lartë këtë me një standard shumë më të lartë se që e kemi aktualisht. Kjo nuk arrihet me një rreth shkurt, do në shumë angazhim dhe kohë, por ne jemi të vendosur që të shkojmë në këtë drejtim. Ajo çka ne do të propozojmë tani në këtë periudhë është që vërtet profesionet që e kena me mungesë në Kosovë, shteti të merr përsipër që t'i stimulojë. Pra studentët që orientohen në këto profesione të jenë të stimuluar qoftë në anë të bursave të ndryshme, por qoftë edhe me pagesat të direkte të shkollimit të tyre në profesionet të caktuara. Ju jeni në shkenca natyrore, kështu kam qenë edhe unë në shkollën e mesme, pikërisht në drejtimin e juaj, matematikë natyrore. Dhe sot ju e dini sa kemi mungesë të profesioneve në këtë fushë. Kemi probleme matematikë, kemi probleme fizikë, për profesor të fizikës, kemi problem në bujqësi, profesor të njohur të shkencës së bujqësisë, për këtë kemi të profesione që na mungojnë. Andaj, sugjerimi im është që ju ta keni një orientim të qartë karrierës juaj profesionale. Tutje do të ecim bashkë me obligime të tjera që i kemi. Po këtu janë që kanë mund se nuk mund të bëjmë rregullime një herë. Rregullia nuk vjen më një herë. Neve na kanë shtresur shumë probleme që duhet hapasapi të rregullojmë këto gjëra.
Yeah, if I may add on that, because I understand the fact what actually the Minister of Education is explaining. Look, it's really, we are very much compassionate to the fact that Albanian education was banned. And the educational system actually 20 years ago it was not the same as it is today. So you had this educational system which was at home. Of course this deprives the whole institution from tradition, from, if you want, institutional memory. So you have now, and not you, but actually the administration has to cope with a lot of problems. So we fully understand it. It's not easy for them as well. But that's why we are here, to help, to advise, to find the best practices, so you, as Kosovo youth, are not deprived and put on a lower level in competition with the other people, for example, from the Western Balkan region, because it's not fair. So we are working with experts, we are working with very good professionals who come here, who advise the minister, who bring good practices from our member states, how it all has happened. So let's remain optimistic.
Okay, I'll also talk in English. Right now, all of us are last year students. So we're in our last week, and we finished secondary school, and hopefully all of us are going to move on to university. Now, when I made my decision on what school to go for secondary school, I chose this school with the premise that I was going to one of the best schools in Kosova and one of the best schools in Pristina. And I cannot say that that is not true. This school is one of the best in Pristina. But what's not very pleasing is that even though that it's one of the best, I'm still not completely satisfied with what I got out of it, after 3 years of education. And my question that I want to make today is with the focus on educational reform. I get that it is important and it's a nice idea to invest in infrastructure, to build more kindergartens and more schools. But I have maybe not such a popular line of thought, that I think that the Human Resources Department should be taken more care of. That should be the main focus. Because if we build more schools, more kindergartens with the same teachers as today, with the same level of education, then that might leave not solving the problem, but even making the problem bigger, because we have more students who are not up to the standard. And so what I want to ask is, what will be done about the staff that, like many other areas in Kosovo, are affected by nepotism and are not up to the personal standards, student to teacher, and to the professional standards of teaching for the students? What should be done and what will be done about those?
I like very much this comment. Thank you for making it. If you are following our policy, which is widely reported through media and through television, we are speaking very much about nepotism and about the need of very fair, merit-based and transparent way how all decision makers in the educational sector are selected. Because, and I think that in the educational sector, our need and our obligation to be so is even higher than anywhere else, because the people who are actually working with the youth are keeping the fate of a whole generation. So that's why our conditionalities to them should be the highest. What we are doing, of course, we are raising alertness with the government, with the Prime Minister, with the Speaker of the Parliament, you name it. We are insisting as well through the tools which we have. And our strongest tool is, of course, our financing. So when I speak with the minister, I'm telling him that we are going to give and invest something like 35 million in the educational sector in Kosovo, but this is not going to happen if certain conditionalities are not met. If they are not met, we are not going to do it. That's the way how international organizations work. I wish that we can do more, but we cannot, because as an international organization as well, we have our red lines. We can advise, we can provide good practices, we can condition our assistance, but at the same time, the responsibility is with your leadership. So, rest assured that we are talking to them. I have regular meetings every week with everyone who is important here in Kosovo. And we are an office of 150 people, project managers, policy advisors, everyone who is needed here in Kosovo. We are very much engaged in rule of law, because what you are saying touches very much as well to the rule of law. Because if you want to have a transparent, fair system, merit-based, of how you select principals, teachers, and people who take decisions for thousands of kids, this is the only way to do it. There is also international company which is usually doing the selection procedures, so that's why we have the standards applicable to Kosovo as well. And last but not least, I really said that we are investing in infrastructure, but not only. Actually, we're investing as well in upgrading of the knowledge of teachers and principals. We are doing it usually through our member states. Our member states, on a bilateral basis, propose the programs where teachers go visit France, UK, whatever, and there they, of course, upgrade their knowledge. And last but not least, I think it's very important, and it is the very generous assistance which we provide, but as well our member states, the scholarships. Because this is already a ready-made product. Instead of waiting to have a teacher who has gone through the different upgrade courses, you just take the students, you bring them there for 1 year, for 6 months. And like that you compare what is your knowledge and where is your place in these big European markets.
Somebody else want to have a question?
I hope I'm not too pessimistic. I think we have to be realistic. That's it. And being realistic as well means read a lot of publications, go on internet, look what curriculum the different member states, leading universities are offering. Just make some kind of comparison where could be your strength so that you can concentrate, for example, on scholarships or anything what we are offering. Yes. Oh, we have to go. It's last question because I just saw what time it is, and I had at 11 o'clock another very important discussion with students, so I don't want to keep them waiting.
Just a short question. They changed the way they grade with us for 3 years. We've been students here for 3 years, and each year we had a different curriculum. And now what I want to ask is that how do you know that if a curriculum is not accepted until you wait for that generation to finish high school, finish university, and see if they're making something good for the country? It's like you don't just decide if something is bad or good without seeing the results of it at the end of someone's role.
I'm not going to comment on that. I think it's a rhetoric question.
Çdo reform që ka ndodhur, se kena mundësi pak çdo reform që ka ndodhur në Kosovë ka vështirësitë e veta deri në momentin kur duhet t'i vënë rezultatet ose t'i presim frytet. Kjo është problemi në arsim. Një ndryshim sado pozitiv me shemb, nuk jep rezultate më mirë. Ne duhet presu vite. Kjo është e dhimbshme. Sepse nga njëherë them problemi më i madh me ekzistu, nëse ne zgjedhëm për 6 muaj në rregull, nuk është problem. Në arsim është problem, sepse na duhet periudhë gjatë presim rezultate. Edhe ne aplikimin e modeleve të reja, kurrikulave të reja, gjithçka na duhet kohë, më së nga vetëm simdhancit që t'i akceptojnë mirë dhe të kenë mundësi të përcjellin tek ju, siç duhet, e pastaj të presim rezultate nga ju të rinjët dhe ardhmja juaj. Por ne duhet të presim dhe duhet të angazhohemi gjithë. Duhet të angazhohemi gjithë për me realizuar këtë.
So for 3 years we have had changes of curricula.
Tani kemi finalizuar ndryshimet, është gjë pozitive. Dhe janë të vlerësuar nga ekspertët ndërkombëtar që kurrikulat janë punuar së bashku me ekspertët ndërkombëtar që janë kurrikulat e mira. Jemi sigurt që është faktori i njeritën. Jemi na që duhet i bëjmë ato që funksionojnë mirë.
We are the ones that we need to make them functional. Can I add something? Curricula well done from the best experts. I have contact with lots of different countries with different people. In none of the places this was not the part of assessment which is really good and which is used in one of the places, and according to my opinion,
Kurrikulat janë përputhje me standardet
the
evropiane.
curriculums are in compliance with the European standards.
I want to thank you very much as well. We give you some symbol of our campaign which is starting on education, and just to remember that we had this exchange. Good luck to all, and I hope that you are going to be satisfied by what you are going to see in future. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll be running. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Let's see if you have
Okay, Minister.